Okay, welcome back. I'm going to start today with this one just to get in kind of easy. Dr. Uh, Zhukov. These are about the only references they have, and they have this image or a similar image with just his head several times, and he is very pale. So we'll assume he is locked up under fluorescent lighting in labs and not getting sunlight. So we're going to paint him pretty light colored. I mean, even compared to his white robes. And then this was a picture. It's hard to see. Can't tell, but they look like they're black. So we're just going to go ahead and make them black, which means we're going to have another character that is mostly white and black, which is unfortunate. I guess I could do those green, but so his paint's about a week old now. There is some tan. It's I think the highlight I used on some of the temples, and it could be a darker flesh tone. Just scooped up some of that, added some white. Gonna get this nice and light. So we're gonna use this for him, and then try not to do too much on the wash to get rid of it. Alrighty. So I'm going to get started on this, and we'll cut back in a little bit to see how it's looking, what we're doing. Just coated it on pretty thick. Got his head, his neck, even the strap of his goggles. It's fine because those colors will be able to go over. He's bald-headed. He's got that thick beard. I went down in his beard some to see if I can leave a gap for his mouth. As you can see here. If not, then he'll just have to have no mouth. But anyway, let's see if I can get that to focus just a little better. But I am thinking the color, the shade is fine. So if you can see that, you can see his beard down there below and his goggles up on top of his head. This part's tricky. I actually just took one of my bigger brushes just so I could dab on the white kind of thick and rub it around and then dab more on, and it is almost a great coat. I'm going to work with it a little more and then set it aside to really dry, and then we'll put another coat on top of it. Okay, and if you're doing this at home, you can see a little bit of the trench coat through his legs there. And don't worry about if you get some on the leg, because chances are whatever color you're going to use, it will be darker. You can cover it up. Of course, if you want to give him white pants, I guess you can. But I may try something with this guy, but we'll see. So let's let this dry and get started on something else. I think we'll get started on Jenny Butler next. Get some color going. I'll have to do some mixing. So I have a couple cards here. I have a city card here and an event card. So at least in all of her references, her dress is the same. This card, she has the necklace. See if you can see it there behind her arm. This one she does not. This one she does. And if you look closely at the figure, and if you're ever wondering for sure, all the manuals give you a representation of she was in the expansion, so in the expansion booklet it shows you which character model is hers. And if you look closely on I had to do it upside down, I guess, to get it in there. She has the necklace on, so that's going to be a little tricky. But I will try to get that. But she also has a shawl on wrapped around her. And that is not in any pictures references I've seen. So we'll have to come up with something on our own. So get to painting her. We'll cut back when I get ready to mix some blue and see what we can do. Got her skin filled in, but the paint is clumping up on the brush, and so I just dab the brush in the water and then dab it off and then use that to just thin out the paint and move it around, and it looks better. Don't worry about if you get it on the hair or the dress and stuff. And I've had an idea with the shawl, so let's mix up some paint for the dress. So I did a test. Of course, it's on the paper towel, but it might not work as well here, but 4 or 5 drops of blue and then 4 or 5 drops of white, and I mix it up and you get this nice pretty sky blue there. Really like it. Now what I'm going to do is just a tiny bit of yellow. See if I can get like 1 drop. There we go. And you want to mix it really good. The part that is not mixed, you can see it's turning green, or where it's the ratio is too high. And if you get a color you don't like, just add a little more blue. No big deal. And I did love that blue color, but when compared to the, which I mean it's fine, you can do it any color you want, but when I compared it to what I was seeing in the picture, it was just too blue, and this is too green. So I'm gonna add a drop of blue, bring it back. Here we go. Let's see how it turns out. I don't really have any good equipment. I'm just budget painting with stuff around the house, toothpicks and little cups, and I'm sure in a smaller, rounder cup this would be much easier to stir it up, and it is getting very close now to the color I want. Might do a tad more blue, but it's much closer to that color now. The color of her dress. Much closer. I'm going to do just a tiny bit more blue. This section of the video might run just a little long, just because I want to show you what I'm doing. In case anyone out there is interested in trying it themselves, but they're afraid of messing up. I mean, this is not that much paint. If I mess it up, I can use a paper towel, wipe this out, then take it to the sink, clean this cup, and start over. It's not a big deal. All right, let's see how that looks. In camera, it actually looks closer than it does in person. That looks pretty cool. All right. There's a little bit of a weird green tint in person. 1 more drop of blue, I'm hoping will do it. Now I think I got so much paint now that 1 little drop just doesn't make much of a difference. So let me see how that looks. Yeah, that's pretty close. That's pretty close. It's getting there, getting there. But I do want it to have a little bit of a bluer tint than what it has, and I will, because I've come up with a little idea that I'm going to do on her figure. Oh yeah, there we go. That's the color I was wanting. So it just took a couple more drops to get it going. And if you look in the cup, you can see 2 different shades of color, where some of it's mixed, some of it isn't. So All right. I rubbed the paint off the figure, and it is a nice blue color, and on the dress, I don't know if you can see on the figure, it is still got a green tint. So that is where definitely a white primer coat would have been great, but that's okay. We will come up with a better plan. I ended up with a pretty color, but it just was not what I wanted, so let's give this a shot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 kind of big gloops, big drops of blue. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish, 6. Let's see what we can get. Probably shouldn't have used this brush. I probably should have used a slightly bigger old brush, but okay, that is a pretty color. And if you see, it doesn't, well, on camera it almost matches perfect, but in person it does not. This looks green, this looks blue. But let's see how that looks on the figure. And it's not bad. It's not perfect, but it is not bad. So I'm going to stick with that. You saw just straight up sky blue, pretty much blue and white. So I'm going to get this on kind of thick, smooth it out, let it dry, and then we'll go back to the Good Doctor's lab coat. We have her painted. We're going to let that dry. Looks pretty good. I like it. We'll let that dry and then put another coat on it just to help smooth it out since it's such a light color. And now that the white is dried, it is looking pretty good. So let's throw another color coat on it real quick. I decided to give him blue jeans, blue pants. That's just blue straight out of the cap. And I like the way it just really looks good with the white coat. So I decided to give him white shoes. Now they can be either sneakers or just little booties that he slid on. Who knows? But I just want to do something different rather than just going black like everyone else has. Or brown, because there's so much brown and so much green in this game already. So I want to do something different. And dadgummit if I didn't smear the white a little bit. So I'll have to try and scrape that off with a toothpick or something. But it's looking good. And this has dried, and oh, I like it. Oh, I like it. Now, if any of you are wondering, well, why didn't he do the Shaw? I did it in a spot, but not everywhere and all, because I have a plan for that. I'm gonna rub some of the black down into the creases of her hair. To do an undercoat of shading. Doesn't take much, but it will give it a layered look. And now I'll just do this to dab off some. And see if I can get a little bit. There we go. Good enough. Okay. And you can see there's still purple coming through. And since the brown doesn't coat real well, I'm hoping it'll coat over that well enough. Yeah, we'll see. But undercoat. And here is the scientist. I was able to get his beard really well. There we go. Let's see if I can get it closer and get it focused for you. Yeah, gave him some eyes. Went ahead and did the goggles in black for now. We're going to touch that up. And, oop, I got a little bit of white paint on his glove, but that won't matter. It'll paint over well enough. And on his lab coat pocket, I've got a little splash of blue and a little splash of red just for some color. And I don't know if you can see, but I also gave her blue eyes, the same color as her dress. Just a really light blue. Brown straight out of the cap, and every now and then you might be able to see a little bit of black coming through, which is what I want. And when this dries really well, we're going to do a dry brush of some tan. But I'm going to make sure, on camera it looks like there's some purple peeking through, so I'm going to make sure there's not. I'm going to go back and look at that and then touch up a little bit of the skin. I think you can see a difference on camera between the two gloves. Yes, I decided to go with a Dexter's Laboratory look on the scientist gloves. And yeah, you can see a difference from there. Got a nice deep purple color. Let's see if I can. There we go. Yeah. We're going to let him dry, and then we're going to come back and I got a little bit of blue, the light blue on this test tube, and then I'm going to touch up the goggles in that a little later once it's dry, and then he is done. Yeah, it was really good to have a chance to do some different color, and that purple is definitely different. I like it. Drop of white, and the smallest, well, that's too small, it's not even any on the brush. There we go. Just gonna mix it up right here. And then I'm going to wash the brush and see if I can't get some of that pink before it dries. That is a very, very light rose petal pink. See if I can zoom that in and get it to focus, not just for you guys, but for me also, to see how that looks. It's a little smeared, a little crooked. It's about as good as we're going to get it. I don't have the tools, and I did a touch more red just to make it stand out, and I keep trying to touch up her face. I think I'm just going to get it worse and worse. I may try to smooth out that corner because it looks like her mouth is crooked. But then I'm going to call it quits. Main thing to remember is when you're doing faces like that, especially on these small models, if you try to get it perfect, you are going to drive yourself nuts. You're never going to get it perfect, especially if you scrutinize it under a magnifying glass or a camera like I'm doing, but from a distance it's going to look amazing and you won't have to worry about it. So I'm going to get some of this light blue that I used on her dress. We're going to make it even lighter. Make it really, really light colored. Okay. Oh yeah. and I wanted to make sure I had enough paint to do all of what I'm wanting to paint, because I didn't measure and not going to be able to come back and mix some up to match perfectly. So now I'm going to come in here. Oh yeah, I like this. Might be a tad lighter than I originally wanted, but it's okay, I like it. I really do like it. Get some of the paint off the brush so I can get in here close. Don't know if the sun is different today. I'm sitting in a slightly different position. The light's a little different, but I am really struggling with my eyes today. Really having trouble seeing what I want to do, get the paint where I want it to. It is just much harder today than it was just last week. I don't know what the difference is. But let's zoom in and I will continue this off screen. There we go. It's not white, but it's a light blue. And the trick I'm going to do at the end, I think, will really make this pop. We're going to let her finish drying really well. She should be done. I've touched up and stuff. But getting the silver, like I used on the Zeppelin, I'm going to touch up the beaker, the glass vial he's holding, and just over top of some of that blue, so that maybe it'll catch a little bit of a shine. We'll see. Okay. And now the goggles, if I can get it to glump up a little bit. It just does not want to come off of the brush very well. A dabbing. There we go. Let's see if I can zoom this in to focus. There we are. Put a little more on the goggles and the beaker, but that looks pretty cool. Just want to make sure there we go. Make sure some of the paint comes off. Alright, that looks pretty cool. And now, if I can, we're going to do that with her shawl and her jewelry. So it'll look like she's wearing silver bracelets and a shimmering shawl. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to try get some of this silvery shining paint over top of all of the Chop. There we go. It looks pretty cool. Touch up this bracelet a little bit. Don't know if it's going to show up on her necklace or not, but if I can dab 2 or 3 little blobs, I'll be happy. Here we go, not bad. More Shaw. Oop, and I found a spot where I missed painting it, so I had to go back and do that. There we go. Now it doesn't show up great. It's not super easy to see, but it does give it just a little bit of a shine, and I'm hoping that when I get the clear coat on it, it'll show up even more. But it has just a little bit of a shine to it. Okay, I'm gonna finish up that and then we'll start on some more characters. I think the last 2 I'm gonna work on today will be Jake Zane and Nigel Harrington. About the best picture you have of him. White shirt, green suspenders, like a light green. We've got a lot of green with the soldiers, but we have 2 previous heroes have a lot of brown, and then you've got Nigel. Now he has this one, looks like an old British red coat, but all the rest of them are in this khaki greenish brown jungle desert explorer type thing, and I think that's kind of what I'm going to go with. But that means a lot of brown. I feel like this video is getting long, so I'll be quick. I've already gotten started on him, on Nigel. So I have his shirt as just green, straight out of the bottle. Looks pretty cool. And he had a brown shirt on in the picture with a green tie. So I was like, oh, let's just make the shirt green. Get the gun stock brown. The pants, I did a green with a white, and my green with white just came up to a seafoam. You can probably see it right there. So then I added a bunch of brown and got this kind of neat color, and that's what I did his pants in. And once he dries, I'm gonna have his canteen and his pouch straps be that color, and maybe the canteen may be brown, but I've got them a tannish brown skin tone, and I'm going to do his hat the same color as his pants, and then the boots are going to be the deep brown leather. I think it'll look pretty cool. It won't be exactly with the picture, but it'll look pretty cool. About to start doing some washes, and I want to do something just a little different with a couple of my characters. Alright. Okay, get just a little more. There we go. Just a couple more drops. Past few videos, all I've done is a dark black wash, but you don't have to always do a wash in black. This character here, I want to keep that lab coat as light colored as I can. So the only part of him I'm doing a black wash on is going to be these gloves. I'm going to dab off as much of this as I can. Just to get some shadows and highlights in there. Just leave him like that. Now that it is starting to dry, there we go. All right. It's not great, but you can definitely see it up close. Same thing with her. I don't want to do a dark wash over all of this, but I do want to with her hair. So I'm just going to hit her hair. Here we go. Just to get some more color, shading, a little depth. Give her hair some layers to it. There, and I think this time I actually got it on thin enough that I won't have to dab it off. Okay. Let's look at Nigel. I really like what I've done with him. See if I can zoom in and give you a look at him. I gave him some gray eyes to go with his gray beard and mustache. Yeah, looks pretty good, pretty good. His sword scabbard is black. Oop, and there's a little tiny bit right there I need to try to touch up. The handle is gray. The grip is dark brown, just like his boots and gun stock and his shirt. So I'm liking that. So let me set this down. Grab a touch of black and see if I can. Yep. Show you what I'm doing right there. If I can, there you go. So you can just see what's going on. So I'm just gonna rub. There we go. Just slowly push the paint. There we go, it looks pretty good. There's just a little bit of purple down here coming through above the gun pouch, the pistol pouch, but I don't think I'm going to worry about that because of where it's at. So let's do the wash. See how that does. And again, since this is mostly dark, I don't mind doing the entire thing in the black. I'm going to dab it off so it's mostly dry. I'm going to readjust the focus, zoom it out a little bit. There we go. And just come in here and need a little more than that. And yeah, it got too much on his face. Knew that was going to happen, but that's okay. The shirt, I don't know what it is about this green paint, but I really like the way it gives its own shadows almost. But those pants had none. They were just flat looking. So this will be really good. Coming in there. And if you get it thin enough, see if I can zoom back in. There you go. You can, while it's still wet, just come in with the brush and remove some or move it around to places where you think there should be some shadows. Get it in those creases. Okay? But we definitely don't want any on his face covering up his face. We want it on his cheeks, in his ears, in his jawline, and that looks pretty good. There we go. A little more up here on the hat. Yeah. Let's go down the barrel of the gun. Oh yeah. Back of the boot is going to need a little bit. There we go. I'm going to try to take just a little bit off of his hands so it doesn't look like his hands are dirty necessarily. There we go. Decent definition in his fingers even. There we go. And this really zooms in. The camera really zooms in more than you're going to be able to see with your bare eye. So you won't have to worry about the playing piece up close while you're playing. Same thing here with Jake. He's got that white shirt on and those light blue pants. The pants I do want to darken up, but the white shirt I'm not. So I'm going to do the same thing. Really get the brush heavy and then dab some off and then come in here and start with the pants. There we go. Leather pouch, leather belt, leather shoes, all of that. Yeah. Really darken up these pants. Then the canteen on top of the canteen. Did the canteen in that weird light green and brown mix, and did the cap of the canteen in just bottle cap green. Gave him black hair and a brown leather hat. Okay. Oop, and I forgot to color his gun, so I'll have to do that here in just a second. Come back and take a little bit off on the pants so that the straight part of the leg does not have black standing on it. Here we go. Alright, I like that. That looks pretty cool, except for the fact that I forgot to paint his gun, so I'm going to have to go back and do that. So there we go. He's looking pretty cool. And I made the suspenders and the straps for the equipment that greenish color also. See if I can get the pants in view. There we go. Not bad, not bad. For her dress, we're going to try something just a little different because I don't want to lose the color. So I'm going to take some of my wash on my brush, put it here in a separate container, clean my brush. Then I'm going to take some of the color, get a decent amount there, try to mix it in with that wash. I don't know if you can tell, but it is just a tiny bit darker, which is what I want. I don't want it too dark. I want to give it a shimmer like, and make it just a little darker so it will leave some shadows on it. Now the shaw, if you remember, I already did it in the silver coat. I'm going to leave it. I don't want to touch it. Give it just a little bit of a shine. This I'm going to do on the dress part, and I'm going to try to avoid her skin. Because I don't want to give her skin a bluish tint. if I can help it. You can do a wash in about anything, a dark green, dark brown, a gray, anything that's close to the color that you painted, but a little darker, so that you can really let it get in there and sit in the bends and shadows. Okay. All right. See if I can dab some of that off. Here we are. And of course I had a little bit come off, so I'm just going to repaint right over. Smooth it out. Alright, that looks good. That looks really good. And if you can see there at the bottom, if I can get the focus, see how it has just a little bit of a shadow now down there at the bottom. Yeah, I like that. I forgot to mention, this is what I've been using, is the Rust-Oleum 2-time Ultra Cover Matte Clear Bonds to Plastic. It seems to work really good. 3 coats. They've set overnight. And here's Jake. He turned out really good. I like him. His blue jeans have some color and shade and fade to them. The old doctor looks good, and his goggles have some shine to them. His beaker, I like that. She turned out pretty good. Details on her face are not quite as nice as I'd like. The model wasn't as easy to paint as some of the others, but it turned out pretty good. I like it. And Nigel, he turned out amazing. I like it. I like the choice to go with the greens and browns, and you can see his gray beard. So get some pictures of that for you guys, and hope that maybe helps someone out.